Social Security benefits are under threat in 2026, and the latest outlook reveals a huge, brutal truth. Monthly checks are set to shrink by thousands of dollars, even for Americans who paid into the system their entire lives. Now, the newly released 2025 Social Security Trustees Report shows a faster than expected depletion of trust fund reserves. So we're talking retirement income, SSDI payments, and survivor benefits, they're all at risk. And millions could lose a significant chunk of their monthly payments. Now, what's even more shocking than that? Well, lawmakers already know this, and some are preparing drastic solutions like raising the retirement age, slashing cost of living increases, or even introducing means testing. Now, this video breaks down exactly what's changing, who's impacted the most, and what you can do right now to protect your income and your future. So, the Social Security Trust Fund, which finances retirement, disability, and survivor benefits, well, it's now projected to run dry by the year 2033. And that's one full year earlier than the prior report actually estimated. Now, when that happens, the system will only have enough incoming payroll tax revenue to cover about 79% of all promised benefits. So, what that means is a guaranteed 21% cut to your monthly check if Congress doesn't act. Now, the data paints a grim picture. Over 70 million Americans currently depend on monthly Social Security payments. There's no doubt about that. Nearly half of retirees rely on Social Security for 90% or more of their total income. And by 2034, well, these checks could be worth hundreds of dollars less every single month. Now, that's not just a problem for the future, it affects people right now. Now, why is this happening, you may ask yourself? Well, the core issue lies in demographic shifts. So the ratio of workers paying into the system versus retirees drawing from it has collapsed. And it's collapsed from 5 to 1 in 1960 to just 2 in 7 today, and it's falling fast. And if you add in early retirement, stagnant wages, and inflation-induced COLAs from 2022 to 2023, well, the math simply doesn't work. Now, even worse, the Disability Insurance Fund is now projected to stay solvent slightly longer, but barely. And SSDI recipients are still subject to benefit volatility, especially with budget constraints looming. So let's put this into perspective. Excuse me. If you're 60 today and expecting to retire in the next few years, your projected lifetime Social Security benefits could be reduced by tens of thousands of dollars unless action is taken. If you're 40 years or younger, the likelihood of receiving full promised benefits is lower than ever. And if you're already retired, you may think that you're safe, but remember, the government can still impose COLA reductions. They can raise taxes on benefits or apply means testing that penalizes even the most modest of savings. Now, that means the more you saved or the harder you worked, the more at risk you could be. And that's not fear-mongering, I promise you. It's baked into the proposals that are currently floating through congressional committees. So just before we take a deeper dive, as always, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game-changing video that affects your finances. And I promise you will truly appreciate it. So buckle up and let's plunge deeper still. So the question is, how are the lawmakers planning to fix this? Well, there are two camps, and I'm going to explain both of them. So starting off with those who want to raise revenue, and then we'll go on to those who want to cut costs. So the revenue side proposes the following: lifting the payroll tax so incomes above $168,600 would continue to contribute, increasing payroll tax rates by 1% or more for both employees and employers. Number 3, adding new taxes on investment income that's earmarked for Social Security. So meanwhile, the cost-cutting side, well, they suggest this: gradually raising the full retirement age to 69 or even 70, implementing progressive price indexing, which would reduce payouts for higher earners. 3, eliminating COLAs for anyone earning above a set income threshold in retirement. And then there's means testing. Now, that's possibly the most controversial of all. This would evaluate your retirement income from other sources like, say, pensions, IRAs, or even your spouse's benefits. And they'd use that to reduce or cancel your Social Security check. In other words, it may no longer matter how much you contributed, only how much the government thinks that you actually need. And that's a scary part. Now, many Americans support it, especially the younger voters who've been told the system is broken beyond repair. Now, let's get practical for a minute, okay? First, if you're within 5 years of retirement, run multiple Social Security filing scenarios. Claiming early could lock in reduced payments, but waiting too long, if the system gets reformed, well, that might just backfire. A financial planner who understands legislative risk can certainly help you with those decisions. Second, take advantage of tax-advantaged accounts like, say, Roth IRAs while they're still fully accessible. Now, these accounts are not subject to required minimum distributions, RMDs, and that makes them ideal if Social Security gets means tested. On to number 3. Don't overlook healthcare planning, and that's important. As Social Security shrinks, many expect Medicare premiums to increase and possibly consume an even bigger portion of your monthly checks. And here's something that few people actually know. If you're divorced and your marriage lasted more than 10 years, well, you may qualify for spousal or survivor benefits that could increase your payout significantly, even if you're no longer married to the same person. So let's be crystal clear. The Social Security system is not going away entirely, but what you receive may look very different from what you were promised. There's no doubt about that. Cuts, delays, higher taxes, and income-based reductions, they're all on the table now, and the 2026 outlook shows this problem is arriving much faster than most Americans actually realize. Now, here's a huge bonus tip before we finish up. So, if you have adult children, start encouraging them to save independently, because the next generation may face retirement without a dependable safety net whatsoever. In other words, without Social Security. But finally, don't panic, but don't ignore this warning either. The people who thrive through policy changes are the ones who stay informed, diversify early, and act just before the storm hits. So if you've enjoyed the video, this is the Financial Freedom Network, and we're committed to helping you preserve everything that you've worked so hard to build. And in the meantime, have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.